Hello and welcome to the Premier League Gameweek 16 review. The good part about this game week review is that it's 16, so 1 plus 6 equal to 7, and 7 equal to Thala for a reason. So, guys, please welcome Delvin and Parthe bhai here. Guys, सबसे पहले मैं मेन इवेंट पर आऊंगा टॉटनहम और न्यूकासल का जो मैच था इस बार टॉटनहम वन फोर बाय 4 goals to 1. पहली बात तो डेविन भाई मैं आपके पास आऊंगा पहले. चेल्सी ने टॉटनहम को हराया 4-1. ठीक है. टॉटनहम ने न्यूकासल को हराया 4-1 और न्यूकासल ने चेल्सी को हराया था 4-1. तो ये क्या चल रहा है मुझे समझ नहीं आ रहा कि एग्जैक्टली आप क्या हो गया है लंदन में.
It's not Thala for a reason because 4-1. So it's the 4-1 sequence. But coming to the game, I think I'm very interested in what Callum Wilson has to say about Richarlison in the next episode of his podcast, because I've been coming across snippets of videos where Callum Wilson has spoken a lot of shit about that guy, and I think the performance against Newcastle is enough for him to eat his words back with interest, because Spurs were great, and they, with the performance that they showed, they put to bed about the notion that they can perform in that Ange ball only with the players that are not available to them at the moment because of injuries and stuff like that. But they were great against Newcastle. Newcastle have been horribly flat in the past few games, and that is clearly visible with the way that they're playing. And it's most symbolized by Kieran Trippier. Even if you see the Everton game, those are the mistakes that you don't associate Kieran Trippier doing them, and that's 2 straight games now. Newcastle have conceded 3 and 4 goals respectively, so that's 7 goals
Right.
in the past 2 games. And Newcastle pride themselves on being one of the most defensively resolute sides in the league. So teams are finding it very easy to cut them open at this point. That it is a combination of injuries and poor form also. Injuries, but we won't talk about injuries, of course, because every team has them and every team is going through it. So Newcastle, after a very rocky start and a promising beginning, are now once again showing signs of fragility. And it does not bode well for them because they have an even more important game coming where they have to play Milan in a winner takes all kind of a situation.
Yeah.
You go through to the next round of the Champions League. If you lose, you're out. So great performance by Spurs, equally abject performance from Newcastle. And Eddie Howe has a lot of things up his plate if he wants to get a result out of this side tomorrow night.
पार्थ भाई फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल रमन भाई वेलकम टू द शो. रमन भाई से हालांड एडिट वैसे प्रीमियर लीग की बात कर रहे हैं पर हाँ हालांड एडिट हर जगह हो जाता है. तो अगले आई एग्री विद यू. वेलकम टू द शो रमन भाई. एंड बिफोर आई आस्क यू अबाउट द नेक्स्ट मैच पार्थ भाई, डेविड भाई को देखकर आपको प्रीमियर लीग में जो फैन ऑफ द वीक की याद नहीं आती है जो हमेशा आता है, मतलब एकदम परफेक्ट ओपिनियन के हिसाब से, एकदम ओपिनियटेड बंदा और नोज हिज शिट, मतलब बट या एनीवे. सो एवर्टन की मैं आपसे बात करूंगा. एवर्टन ने चेल्सी को 2-0 हराया. अब मैं मानता हूँ कि आजकल चेल्सी को ऑलमोस्ट एवरी टीम इज बीटिंग देम, बट डू यू थिंक एवर्टन हैव अ विंग इन देयर आर्मर, अ टोटल डिफरेंट स्ट्राइड आफ्टर the 10-point deduction? Do you think Goodison is a hell of a place right now, Parthe bhai?
See, Goodison was always a place where you don't want to visit. As a fan for any club, that is not a place you want to go. But then again,
Yeah,
we all thought that after the point deduction, they will have somewhat of a negative impact. But
yeah, yeah.
in turn, they had the polar opposite impact. And this just
Mhm.
shows that if any club which is equipped with proper players who have had a decent window, who
Yeah.
have a good fan base, if they go all out, it does not matter what is their league position. Same we
But
could have seen with the
I'll interrupt you here once. Do you think they had a decent window because they did not spend a lot of money? Like generally, I know financially, of course, they उनको 10-point deduction हुआ है, but I don't think when you compare to the likes of the Uniteds and even the Liverpools of the world, I don't think they have spent a lot of money at this point.
not in this window, but overall for the past few years they have gathered a good
Hmm.
collection of players. Plus, even in this window, they just got I guess probably 1 or 2 players, but those were the its and bit signings. Now
Yeah,
the
yeah.
mentality completely changes. It's from whether what can happen to let's just go all out.
Yeah, yeah,
And you know, when something
absolutely.
like that happens, to some extent, it has also been favorable for them in terms of the fixtures they have got.
Hmm.
So that has also helped them to some extent. Also, a little bit of a factor is that Luton and Sheffield, especially this season, they have been the by far the two worst clubs. Usually, when you see a bottom three, you have some kind of a close relativity. But this season, the bottom three has
Mhm.
been far off from the rest of the league.
Fair enough.
So the mid club and this club, they have a big difference. Plus the mentality, of course. And again, see, it
Absolutely.
also depends on the sustainability. It's not on what you do today or do this season, but whether you can sustain it. For example, Aston Villa, they sustain the growth. So again, for Everton, with the same case, they whether they can sustain this form and generate more revenue, buy more players, grow on a good level, or from the next season onwards, it's again like back to
Hmm.
the mid-table stuff.
मेक सेंस मेक सेंस काफी अच्छी पॉइंट्स दिए आपने पार्थ भाई बिकॉज ऑनेस्टली एवर्टन हैज बीन क्वाइट अ स्टोरी बट डेल्विन भाई had come to you here Doipan here says first of all welcome Doipan Aston Villa what a story seriously man पहले beating City in midweek beating Arsenal now I think they have got so many I think 13 to 14 wins somewhere around that 14 wins I think on their
15,
trot now 15 yeah 15 now
15.
15 wins on their trot at home. What do you think? What are Aston Villa even cooking right now?
There are so this success. First of all, kudos to Unai for the job that he's doing. I think Aston Villa have been one of those informed teams ever since Unai took the reins last season in the middle of the Premier League season. But what has worked in Aston Villa's favor is that they already had a group of players who were great players.
Yeah, yeah.
The likes of Isri Konza, the likes of Ollie
Hmm.
Watkins. Then you had Douglas Luiz. Most of that core, most of that core was there last season also under the shit management of Steven Gerrard. With all
Yeah.
due respect to Gerrard as a player, Gerrard as a manager
Pathetic
is
as a
not
manager.
it. Is not
Pathetic.
it. Yes,
Yeah,
is not it. So
yeah.
this is the same group of players that have played under Gerrard. It's just a matter of the manager coaxing the right amount of performances. The second most
Yeah.
important thing is the change in Aston Villa ownership. You have new owners who've come in. They've taken a much more profound interest in the workings of the club, and you can see the business that they have done. The business this season, they've bought in the likes of Musa Diaby, they bought in the likes of Pau Torres,
Yeah.
because Diego Carlos was injured. They bought in Alex Moreno, all these guys. So all of this is already added to a side that is more than enhanced, and you can see that the side is cohesive. This side is absolutely lightning quick. Like they will destroy you, and they execute game plans to a T. Take both the Arsenal game. Arsenal can talk about the VAR calls or any small decision that has gone against their way, but I think Parthiv Bhai himself knows very well all these are just facades for masking poor performances. I, as a United fan, will also cry about VAR being this that it's just masking poor performance. Arsenal were bad against Aston Villa, and a VAR call gone wrong does not change the fact that they were poor for vast majorities of the game. And I can say the same about United in the games that we have lost because despite having VAR going against us, if you remove those aside, we've been poor. And I'll say that with my chest open. And it's the same thing. But Villa have been performing exceptionally well. The only challenge that they have is to translate this home form into away wins also. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and if they are able to do that, uh, only God knows what they have in store. But for now, it's a great run. And with almost half of the season done, they are still in the top three. They're not far away from the leaders.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think they're only 4 points
But
off
leaders
Liverpool.
Liverpool. The
Yeah,
leaders
yeah,
Liverpool.
yeah. 4 points off Liverpool. Not a big
Yeah.
gap at this point of
Yeah.
the season. So it's very
Absolutely.
interesting to see Aston Villa play the way they are, and let's hope that they keep on continuing the performances. Uh, Although Stoner tests still lie ahead, they have to go to City. I think Parthipa, if I'm not wrong, they already played at Anfield, right? You'll beat them 3-0.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah. Liverpool
yeah,
have.
so Liverpool have to come to Villa Park. That's another interesting game. So
Absolutely.
there are a few tough games that they have to play. So only time will tell. But for now, it's a brilliant job that Unai and Aston Villa as a whole are doing with the players,
Absolutely.
with the squad that they have. Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you here because I think so far it's been a fairy tale story, but let's see how far they can sustain it. And Raman Bhai says कि from Satta Gang to football experts, IFP have become a flexible party. वैसे रमन भाई ये IFP की बात है कि सब कुछ मिल जाता है आपको यहाँ पे. You get everything from starters to dessert here. So I think that's what IFP it is a full कहते हैं ना कि मतलब 36 के 36 गुण मिलते हैं IFP में. But yeah, Doipan agrees with Raman Bhai here. And दोईपान ऑल्सो सेज कि अनुप्राश भाई की होता जेरार्ड को शिट अरे शिट की बात नहीं है दोईपान भाई बात ये है कि एट द एंड ऑफ द डे जेरार्ड एज अ मैनेजर हैज बीन ओवरवेलमिंग has been underwhelming so far, but yeah, I hope that he comes through. I really hope he comes through and silences all the haters here. But yeah, it is what it is. As a manager, he has underperformed, and there are no two ways about that. And yeah, Raman bhai, I have cleaned my camera, so thank you so much. Anyway, Parthe bhai, I'd come to you here. Parthe bhai, Liverpool for that matter. Let's talk about them. वैसे मेरा यूनाइटेड का मन था, but I don't think लिवरपूल फैन से यूनाइटेड की बात करना is the right scenario right now. So Liverpool ended up winning 2-1. ठीक है, 1-0 हार रहे थे पैलेस से. एंड ऑनेस्टली बहुत ही स्क्रैपी टाइम था. एज अ लिवरपूल फैन मैं आपको ऑनेस्टली बताऊंगा, लिवरपूल वाज very much, what should I say? They looked like a team which was under the weather. They looked like a team which was, didn't look like practice challenges at all. And suddenly they were able to have those two inspirational moments out of nowhere. So, what are your thoughts on the win? And do you think they can sustain this? Yeah, for over the long term, they have to play better football.
सी वन थिंग अनुकर्ष भाई, कोई भी टीम जो प्रीमियर लीग जीतती है या कोई भी लीग जीतती है फॉर दैट मैटर, एंटायर सीजन वो लोग कभी भी लीग विनर नहीं लगते. वी हैव
Yeah,
सीन दिस विद सिटी. वो लोग फॉर्म ड्रॉप करते हैं, देन जस्ट गेट बैक द फॉर्म. एंड आई फील दैट द विनिंग मेंटालिटी इज जस्ट फाइंडिंग आउट दीज विक्ट्रीज, जस्ट गेटिंग दैट डोंट लूज होप टिल द लास्ट विसल. जैसे
yeah,
और एक बार मैंने ये चीज शायद कल बोली थी कि अभी जो इंजरी टाइम्स होते हैं ना, वो पहले से बहुत ज्यादा होते हैं. पहले इट वाज मैक्सिमम 4 से 5 मिनट.
yeah,
नाउ दैट इज अराउंड 8 to 9 मिनट्स. तो जो टाइम जोन भी होता है ना, वो भी बढ़ जाता है. अभी क्या होता है कि आप जब लिवरपूल जैसी टीम के अगेंस्ट खेल रहे हो ना, एज अ इंफीरियर साइड और एज अ लोअर साइड, आप हमेशा एक लो ब्लॉक या फिर मिड ब्लॉक खेलते हो. तो आपके लिए उतने टाइम तक ना सस्टेन करना भी टफ होता है कि आप कितने प्लेयर्स को मार्क करोगे. एंड आप अगर वो सब्स देखोगे जो एलएफसी ने किए थे, दोज वर ऑल मतलब आपके क्या बोलते हैं अटैकिंग बेस्ड सब्स. तो उनका वो मेंटालिटी था ही कि अभी गोल मारना है. एंड आई से वेरी ऑनेस्टली, आई डोंट नो वेदर इट्स ब्लाइंड फेट और नॉट, बट द मोमेंट एलियट केम ऑन, आई न्यू
yeah,
कि
yeah.
अभी अटैकिंग इनपुट डबल होने वाला है. एंड दैट इज व्हाट हैपेंड. We talk about Trent's crosses a lot, but we forget that Elliott's crossing this season has been fantastic. The way he's crossing the ball and everything. एंड लिवरपूल ना भाई, कल पता है, कल ना हम लोग हारे हैं मिडफील्ड बैटल टू सम एक्सटेंट. क्योंकि उनका जो मिडफील्डर था विल ह्यूगस, प्रॉब्लम ही प्रॉब्लम लिवरपूल फैन, वो इतना एग्रेसिवली प्रेस किया. प्लस ऑल्सो
Yeah.
वन मोर मिस्टेक, दिस इज अ मिस्टेक मोर लाइकली, दैट इज कि क्वांसा was probably not exactly in a mode for an away Crystal Palace start. क्योंकि हम लोग बोले कि इंडो ने
Arguable,
गलतियां की है.
arguable, arguable.
मतलब
हाँ,
आई विल से दिस
I
कि
think he
वो
had
शायद,
a pretty good game. I think
हाँ,
Kwanzaa
it
had a
was.
pretty good game.
हाँ,
नो
it
नो,
was a
In
क्वांसा
this,
mistake though.
हैड अ
हाँ,
प्रीटी गुड गेम, बट देखिए एंडो ने लास्ट गेम में दो बार उसने बॉल छोड़ा था. मतलब ही फेल डाउन व्हेन ह्यूगस प्रेस्ड ऑन हिम. बोथ ऑफ देम वर एंटी रेजिस्टेंट प्लेसेस वेयर क्वांसा पास द बॉल. नो अभी क्या,
yeah,
अभी यहाँ पे अगर कोनाटे होते या फिर कोई और, तो शायद वो पास नहीं करता. मेरा बस बोलने का मतलब ये है, मैं ये
yeah.
नहीं बोल
But
रहा कि
I
वो
think
खराब खेला.
that's how he will learn, na, Parthe bhai. I think
नहीं नहीं,
honestly, like,
एग्जैक्टली,
हाँ. Hmm. Matlab,
एग्जैक्टली
there
मैं
are two sides of the coin. I agree with what you are saying, but I also think that maybe this is a match in which he could have really come through, and I think it wasn't that bad. Like it could have been really bad. ये वाली बात पे आपकी agree करता हूँ.
नो नो भाई, ऑफ कोर्स अगर आप गोल खाते हो, जो इसने अच्छा डिफेंड किया, मैं वो बात नहीं कर रहा. मैं बस बात ये कर
हाँ,
रहा कि एज अ लिवरपूल डिफेंडर, योर जॉब इज मोर देन जस्ट डिफेंडिंग द बॉल. यू हैव टू बी एक्यूरेट ऑन पासेस, एंड ही हैज शोन
yeah,
दैट. अभी
yeah,
तक यूरोपा में, कैराबाओ कप में, सब में, इवन अगेंस्ट चेल्सी एंड फ्यू अदर गेम्स, ही हैज प्लेड ब्रिलियंट. मैं वो नहीं बोल रहा. मैं बोल
hmm,
रहा एनी प्लेस लाइक दिस व्हिच इज अ गुड मिड टेबल क्लब, अवे
Yeah, yeah.
गेम्स बहुत टफ होते हैं, एक मेंटालिटी होती है, बहुत टफ मेंटालिटी के गेम्स होते हैं।
I think the ground is also very compact there in Crystal Valley.
एग्जैक्टली एग्जैक्टली, तो वहां पे ना
Yeah.
थोड़े, एंड एक चीज थी अनुकृष्ण, अगर आपने देखा होगा, ये बात मैं वैसे भी कर रहे थे कि 60 मिनट तक उनके 3 गोल ऑन शॉट्स ऑन टारगेट थे, एंड उनके तीनों एक्यूरेट थे, जो अच्छे अच्छे बॉल्स थे। एंड हम लोगों ने ऑन द सेम पेज वहां पे शायद 5 या 6 शॉट्स लिए होंगे, बट 6 के 6 बेकार शॉट्स थे। तो वो जो स्पार्क था ना, वो दैट केम आफ्टर लॉन्ग टाइम। एंड आई बिलीव कि
Mm.
हम लोग ना इतना टाइम दे नहीं सकते किसी टीम को, मतलब जल्दी जल्दी वो इम्पैक्ट होता है। जैसे अगेंस्ट फुलम, पहले उन लोगों ने प्रेशर डाल दिया, आप वो प्रेशर इम्पोज करो, क्योंकि आप अगर टाइम दोगे ना, देन यू नेवर नो, अनदर टीम में जस्ट एज वेल कम हियर एंड गिव योर शॉक।
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I agree here because I think it
Yeah.
was a match of mixed fortunes and Devin भाई had come to you here थोड़े से comments ले लेते हैं क्योंकि बहुत सारे लोगों के comments आ चुके हैं आज। No matter who, लगता है डेविन भाई के तो सारे supporters हैं ना, हम आज comment से भरे हुए हैं। No matter who wins Girona in La Liga and Aston Villa in Premier League should be remembered by posterity. Absolutely, Rohit, because bro, I really feel कि this season it's about fairy tales at this point in La Liga and English Premier League. और I really think Aston Villa अगर last से challenge करे टाइटल के लिए, I would be really happy actually. In fact, I think every top 6 club fan would be because ऐसे से जब लेस्टर जीता था, I don't think किसी को बुरा लगा था उसके बाद का, because everyone really liked how it was a story for to remember for ages. We have another comment here. Behind Everton's success, one of the main reasons is Dyche's mindset after reduction. Obviously, I think the all-out attack approach has worked, and I think it's all about attack being the best form of defense. Anyway,
I think
Devin,
he's
bhai, I'll come.
using. I think
हाँ,
he's
बताइए.
using his. Deitch is using his wing backs more. Mikolenko and whoever is the right back, I think. He's using them more frequently. You see Mikolenko making those barreling runs on the left hand side, and then you have forward wingers like Dwight McNeil, who's played under Daesh at
Yeah,
Burnley. Then you have Michael Keane, who understands his defensive system because he himself has played under Daesh at for Burnley. You have Calvert Lewin, who is a very underrated striker in the sense that his hold up play is one of the best in the Premier League. So
absolutely.
all these bits and pieces are very key to Daish's system in the way that he operates. And now that he's able to rally that entire squad under that one umbrella of the deduction, he's getting those components to work so smoothly, and that is one of like Munikami said, there is a lot of factors behind Everton's resurgence, and the fact that they're focusing build up through the wings is something that is testament to Deitch's ability.
Absolutely. I even feel that Dyche is that factor which, अगर वो एक बार प्रीमियर लीग में नहीं रहता ना किसी क्लब में, तो the league becomes boring because उसकी वो है ना bricks तोड़ दो, nails on bricks mentality. I think it's very different. And it's very something that's very archaic also, but I think it adds a different flavor altogether. Sometimes I think IFP is underrated after these kind of conversations. इसलिए रमन भाई सब्सक्राइब कीजिए, keep following the Indie Football Podcast. हम लोग ये कंटेंट लेकर आते रहेंगे. Zabi's team in Bundesliga also. I think Daniel भाई ने सही बात बोली कि Leverkusen are not exactly underrated because they are a footballing powerhouse. Even I agree because अगर वो ऐसा होता तो चाबी अलॉन्सो जैसा मैनेजर जाता नहीं वहां पे कभी. तो I agree with Delvin भाई here. And
They have made a Champions League final, so you can't call them underrated
exactly,
exactly.
बुंदेसलीगा
exactly,
के ना बहुत
exactly,
सारे क्लब्स बेसिकली ओवरशैडो हो जाते हैं ड्यू टू द फैक्ट दैट बायर्न इज सो डोमिनेंट। और हम
Exactly.
लोग का भी क्या है कि दैट वी सपोर्ट पीएल ऑन अ वेरी बिग नोट बोर्ड। हम लोग का भी है कि हम लोग जानते हैं कि इट्स लाइक इट्स डॉर्टमंड, इट्स बायर्न, प्लस हम लोग के वी प्ले फुटबॉल और वी नो अबाउट फुटबॉल, तो इसीलिए हमको आइडिया है। बट फॉर अ जनरल पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू द मोर वेल नोन्स आर मतलब बायर्न म्यूनिक एंड डॉर्टमंड, बट लेवरकुसेन इज एक्चुअली अ वेरी वेल नोन क्लब। अभी यहाँ पे अगर आप बोलते हैं कि डार्मस्टाड अच्छा कर रही है या फिर आइंट्रैक्ट फ्रैंकफर्ट उस दिन ये पे थी, then that would have been somewhat of a case. But
I
Leverkusen
really
are generally a very big club.
yeah, I really like कि Bundesliga की बातें comments में हो रही है कि still Leverkusen is not going to win the league anyway. Delvin भाई, I'll come to you here. United की बात कर लेते हैं. So another bitter
Yes.
loss, the match against Bournemouth. Honestly, even I wasn't thinking because I think United last month, what I really liked was that they were able to grind out the results. No wonder, even though it went under the scanner, uh, Harry Maguire and Eric Ten Hag ended up winning two trophies, the Player of the Month and the Manager of the Month, respectively. Now इस महीने फिर से फॉल ऑफ हो गया है थोड़ा सा एंड बॉर्नमथ के अगेंस्ट दे ऑलमोस्ट कंसीडर्ड अ फोर्थ गोल टू क्या थॉट्स है आपके एंड हाउ डू यू थिंक यूनाइटेड कम्स बैक फ्रॉम हियर आल्सो बिफोर यू आंसर दैट क्वेश्चन रासमस के बारे में आपका क्या ओपिनियन है आफ्टर यू आर डन
All right. I'll first talk about Rasmus
यूनाइटेड
Højlund. Great. There is quality in the striker because he scored 5 goals in the Champions League. So there is no denying that he scored against the likes of Bayern. He scored against the likes of Galatasaray. There is quality there. He's only 20. The problem that I have with the side is that the players in the side are not feeding him the required service that is required for someone like a Højlund. If you see him, he makes those runs. He's always in space. He's always managed to find himself in space in very promising areas. He's not getting the required service. There was a moment that took place in the second half where it was a United counter attack. It was a brilliant move from back to front where Dalot had the ball. Dalot got into the byline. All he had to do was cut it back to Højlund because Højlund was wide open in the box. And this was when the score was still 1-0. All he had to do was just cut it back to Rasmus. Rasmus had a tap in, it would have been 1-1. What Dalot decides to do? Dalot takes the shot himself. It's the side netting. The score still 1-0. Bournemouth go ahead and in the very next move get a second goal. Kills the contest there itself. Pick up any game which United has played where Rasmus Højlund has started as a striker, you will see Rasmus Højlund barely getting the ball. He has to work worse than scraps. So that is the problem there as far as Højlund is concerned. The moment he starts receiving more balls, he starts getting more services, the goals will come. For now, it is it's a very slippery slope. As in, obviously, at the end, you judge a striker by the number of goals that he scored, and he doesn't have one in the Premier League, so criticism is justified on that part.
Do you think the
That
wingers
is,
are at fault? Do you think the wingers, Rashford and Anthony, are at fault here?
everyone is at fault. Everyone in that side is at fault because the loss against Bournemouth is something that I will not put it at the manager's feet. In a game where you have 69% of the ball, you have 20 shots compared to 5 or 6 compared to what Bournemouth had.
Yeah.
There comes a time where you have to put the ball in the back of the net. You cannot put this loss on the manager. Pick the game. And even if the scoreline is a bad one, there have been many promising attacks which United have built. So you can see there are inklings of what Ten Hag is trying to play. But here is the problem is that what you do with the Scott McTominay situation. Now, there are two sides of the same coin with the Scott McTominay situation. The first side of the coin is that his goals are the reason why he's playing in the side. What Ten Hag is trying to do is make him play in advanced positions that he does in Scotland, and then he goes ahead and gets his goal. But the downside to that is when he goes into those advanced positions, the gap that the midfield has to protect is massive. And you can see 9 times out of 10, United are cut open because McTominay loses the ball in that advanced area and then he's too far out to come ahead and make the recovery tackle, which is why there is a lot of pressure on the likes of Amrabat. There's a lot of pressure on the defense to cover those gaping holes because then it becomes a huge open play field for the attack to this. And that is exactly what the Bournemouth midfield did. They waited on Scott McTominay's inability to pass under pressure, and the moment he fumbled with passes, they knew that there is a huge space there. Bournemouth's manager himself spoke in the post-match press conference, in fact, where he spoke about the fact that United will give a lot of spaces, and that is exactly what has happened. We've given them a lot of space. They've used the space to devastating effect, and then they've scored their goals. Make no mistake, Bournemouth's victory is totally deserved for the way they played. They did not give us a lot of room, but we did a pretty good job. I'm not going to put this loss on the manager's door. There were positives to pick from, and had Maguire not been there, it would have been a hammering. He was great. The fact that Maguire is being one of our best players is a slap on the face of the rest of the players. What are you guys doing then? So overall, there are a lot of things lot of things that went wrong and right, but there are certain things that went right. It's just that we are not able to finish our chances. And no matter how dysfunctional a side is, if you're even a let's just say United is dysfunctional. Even in a dysfunctional side like United, you're getting 20 chances. The least you can do is put at least two or three out of those in the net. You
Yeah,
win
yeah,
games that way. No
yeah,
matter how badly you play, at the end of the day, the game is decided by which team scores more goals. If
absolutely, absolutely.
United if United takes those chances, puts those balls in the back of the net, we would be having an entirely different conversation here. However,
Absolutely.
that has
Totally.
not been the case, and I've got new. We've obviously got news that United are not extending Martial's contract. I hope the fucker does not play in any other league game this season. I've had enough of that dude. I don't mind if you want to play McTominay as a second striker. Do not play him as a midfielder. Add another body in there. If
I
you
think
want
up,
McTominay for his scoring abilities, just put him up top second striker. Go ahead, do that. If you want Mason Mount, put him. You want willing runners in the side, put in Amrabat, put in Mason Mount. You have Kobe Manu, who you've put in exile after the death that he had against Everton. You have
yeah,
midfield options. Use them. If you are intent on maximizing the output that McTominay is giving from an attacking perspective, just play him up top.
I think with players like Amar Diallo also starting to get fit, it's good news for United, especially with how bad Marshall has been. Anyway, पार्थिव भाई आपके लिए भी काफी फॉलो फैंस आ रहे हैं. पार्थिव भाई फुटबॉल विजडम में क्लास शुरू कर दो बंगाली में, शकीब अल हसन से ज्यादा फेमस हो जाओगे. Anyway, Raman भाई also says कि अपना भी वाला ये मैं कहता रहा हूँ कि म्यूनिक और लेवरकुसेन वाला डिबेट स्टार्ट हो गई है. Shambhavi here says that the Villa, what I think, gets overshadowed by Aston Villa's performances. Hilarious. उसके अलावा
Dweba has his Villa priorities right.
yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. Taking facts भाई from last level. चलो यहाँ पे तो लगता है बायर्न म्यूनिख की डिबेट हो गई है वापस, पर देखते हैं बुंडेसलीगा. I think we'll do in another segment. Everyone loves an underdog story. Everton gets points deducted, Shambhavi says, but what about the points missed out on watching the Premier League? By watching the Premier League. Yeah, but these are all relevant points. I think come the end of the season, I think the it's going to be a very interesting relegation battle. That's what I think, because you don't know which is the fourth team which is going to be fighting for trying to stay up top. So it's going to be an interesting battle at the end. Well said, Delvin. Wing backs are playing major role in Everton decent run. Absolutely, I think Delvin bhai tactical analysis is always on point. मैन यूनाइटेड की सिर्फ बातें ही होती है अब. ओके, वील सी
गेम तो
वील सी.
होती ही नहीं, पर बात तो सही कह रहे हो रमन भाई. अब
या
गेम तो होती ही नहीं, बातें होती.
I love to see United losing, but at the same time when I see Vivan, Vishal and Devon disappointment on screen, हमारे साथ भी ये होता है. Even I
नहीं,
think
don't feel bad for us. It's fine.
I think over time I have also grown a bit sympathetic with United fans, because I can understand.
We don't want sympathy, guys. We don't.
You
We
have to start
don't.
starting Marshall's time. अगर दर्शन भाई भी वाली बात कह रहे हैं तो
केम छो
yes.
भाई,
की बात मानता.
दर्शन भाई केम छो.
डेल्विन भाई से यूनाइटेड की बातें ज्यादा करवाओगे, रोने लेट्स नॉट डू
नहीं,
इट.
अब तो आदत हो
नहीं,
गई
ऐसे
भाई.
अब तो आदत सी है मुझको ऐसे जीने में. द्वीपान भाई, इट्स डेल्विन भाई राइट, दो आई विश यूनाइटेड फॉर गुड टाइम कम्स. इवन आई फील दैट, दो आई फील unpopular opinion, United can muster something tonight. Anyway, before we discuss the United and Liverpool game also, guys, पार्थिव भाई आपसे एक लास्ट मैच की बात कर देता हूँ, which is the Fulham match. फुलहम फिर से 5-0 जीती है. लिवरपूल से हारने के बाद क्या आग लग गई है इनको. व्हाट डू यू थिंक? मतलब 5-0 दे बीट वेस्ट हैम व्हिच इज अ वेरी डिसेंट टीम. व्हाट आर योर थॉट्स ऑन दैट गेम एंड क्या हो गया फुलहम को?
जी बात ना ये सिर्फ आग की नहीं है, बात है कि वो लोग एक्चुअली मतलब उनके अगर आप टीम देखो ना, व्हेन मिट्रोविच लेफ्ट, राहुल हिमेनेज केम इन, and one of the many people thought that Jimenez won't be exactly a replacement for him. But Fulham again, like Everton, एक ऐसी टीम है ना जिनके पास अच्छे खासे प्लेयर्स हैं. You have Disasi, you have that guy probably Scott, Alex Scott, you have a decent goalkeeper in Leno. They have a good
डिसासी
all-round.
डिसासी तो
Disasi
चेल्सी का है ना.
बिल्कुल
Disasi
चेल्सी
है,
पे.
Diasi है, Diasi ऐसा कुछ नाम है मतलब.
डियाबी नहीं, डियाबी तो आस्टन विला में।
नहीं, ऐसे कुछ नाम था भाई, मतलब मैं भी
कौन
देख के
सी
चौंक
टीम
गया।
में, किसकी बात कर रहे हो
फुलम में
आप?
ही है, फुलम में ही है।
फुलहम में ही है, आई डोंट नो, मतलब आई कैन नॉट रिकॉल।
नाम गलत बोला क्या? अच्छा,
आई
बैसी 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 सॉरी, बैसी।
बेसी, हाँ बेसी
कैल्विन
बेसी,
कैल्विन
कैल्विन बेसी,
बैसी, हाँ
कैल्विन
कैल्विन
बैसी।
बैसी.
कैल्विन बेसी, हाँ।
ही वाज आल्सो एट चेल्सी बिफोर दिस।
Ajax. He was at
Ajax,
Ajax. Calvin Bassey
Ajax,
was at Ajax.
या
तो बैसी वाज आल्सो प्लेइंग रियली वेल। तो उन लोग ना, मतलब दे आर अ गुड टीम। एंड सी दिस सीजन आई हैव सीन कि प्रीवियस ना थोड़े ज्यादा, मतलब वो है कि अनएक्सपेक्टेड मैचअप्स हो रहे हैं। इसके पहले वेस्ट हैम ने रन डाउन कर दिया था। दिस गेम में दे वर ओवरशैडोड, उनको पता ही नहीं कि क्या हो रहा है। सो ऐसे ना थोड़े बहुत इधर उधर गेम्स थे, बट इन जनरल वो लिवरपूल गेम ने एक बूस्ट थी दैट वी कैन डू समथिंग। बिकॉज आप एक एंड में सिर्फ बैंगर्स से हारते हो तो आपका एक मेंटालिटी बूस्ट भी होता है। And that is what happened. And trust me on this one, for any team going to another team's home this season won't be easy. No matter what the
या
team is, even if it's Luton, even if it's Liverpool, going at somebody else's home and getting a victory won't be easy.
एब्सोल्युटली एब्सोल्युटली। चलो बिफोर वी एंड दिस स्ट्रीम, डेल्विन भाई, मुझे दो प्रेडिक्शंस दे दो, एक यूनाइटेड वर्सेस बायर्न के लिए और एक यूनाइटेड वर्सेस लिवरपूल के लिए। ऑनेस्ट यू कैन बी,
देखो,
मतलब अगर
हाँ,
जिताना भी
I'll be
चाहते हो जिता
as
सकते हो। हाँ।
नहीं, I'll be as honest as possible. I don't see us getting a result in both the games. Even if we somehow manage to win the Bayern game, I'm saying somehow manage to win. I'm not confident at all. I'll go. I'm on record, so if you hold me against, you can hold me. I'm not confident of a result at all against even this Bayern side. But even if we somehow manage to win, I don't see us qualifying because both the teams above know what they have to do. They themselves have to get a win to qualify because a draw won't cut it for them. So both of the sides know that if they win, they qualify. So the chances are very less for us to qualify, even if we end up winning this game. As far as the Liverpool game is concerned, I think everyone knows that Bruno's picked up a yellow and he won't be available for the Liverpool game. So that's our main creative outlet gone. Who's going to supply us? And we did see United play a couple of games without Bruno in the last season, and those have gone horribly for us. The lack of a creative outlet, uh, who's not. It's. I just dread what the scoreline will be on Sunday. That's the biggest concern I have. I don't see us winning either of the games. I'm very being very candid, very honest about it.
I think it would be a very united thing to do personally, for them to win at least either of the ties, because United के साथ वही है कि वो they can spring that momentum, they can not in momentum, they can spring that result out of nowhere. I think that is the reason, that is what
The
the players
fact,
play for.
yeah, the fact you're talking about us springing a surprise shows how far we have fallen. The fact that you're talking about a side like United, 20-time Premier League winners, talking about springing surprises. There was a time where United and springing surprises did
Yeah,
not come in the same sentence. And look at us now, we're talking about United springing surprises. So there itself is your cue as to how far we have fallen. There are a lot of things that have led to this downfall that we have, but I think everyone knows what it is. So yeah, like by Old Trafford will be written up a German. Like I've already lost hope. I know what the result is going to be. You can मैं ऑलरेडी बहुत नीचे हूँ, उसके मुझे इससे नीचे आप नहीं गिरा सकते। इसके नीचे और कुछ है ही नहीं।
Old
इसके नीचे,
Trafford will be red tonight, but German red.
हाँ, इसके नीचे तो सीधा पाताल लोक ही है। अब इसके आगे अब धकलना तो धकेल लो।
सही बात है। पार्थ भाई, म्यूनिक आर्मी से is talking about Liverpool. I think Liverpool need to work on defense. वो तो खैर there will always be things. And before I come to this question, very good team Iwobi, Fulham, Iwobi, Wilson, absolutely Darshan भाई, Fulham have been a phenomenon this season. But यार पार्थ भाई, क्या लगता है लिवरपूल और यूनाइटेड का क्या स्कोर लाइन होगी?
मैं एक प्रेडिक्शन दूंगा कि लिवरपूल वर्सेस यूनाइटेड में हॉयलैंड गोल मारेगा। बाकी मैं कुछ नहीं बोल रहा, बट उस वाले गेम में वो गोल मारेगा।
मुझे भी लगता है, ऑनेस्टली
बिकॉज
मुझे भी लगता
मैं
है।
ये
आई वाज
चीज
अबाउट टू से
बहुत,
दैट।
मतलब शिद्दत से बोलता हूँ कि जिसके पास फॉर्म नहीं होता वो लिवरपूल के पास आके फॉर्म बनाता है। हाँ, अगले
एनफील्ड में नहीं भाई, एनफील्ड में नहीं भाई, आप सपने बेच,
4 महीने
अब
गोल
तो
नहीं
आप
मारा
सपने
मुझे
बेच रहे हो। अब तो सपने बेच रहे हो आप।
सीरियस बता रहा हूँ,
सपने
देख
बेच रहे
लेना
हो।
भाई। होंगी
इतने भी,
मैन गोल नहीं मारता, अब जाके गोल मार रहा है। ये हैरी
अरे
मैग्वायर गोल
हाँ,
नहीं
बट बट ये एनफील्ड है भाई. हम 2016 से एनफील्ड में नहीं जीते. ये 7वां साल चल रहा है. वी हैव नॉट वन अ गेम एट एनफील्ड सिंस
अरे अरे
2016, सिंस वेन रूनी स्कोर्ड इन अ 1-0 विन अगेंस्ट
अरे
अगेंस्ट यॉल.
उस टाइम में वेन हुई था. इस बार शायद गर्नाचो मार दे. यू नेवर नो.
यार
ठीक है,
देख लो.
पार्थ को जिताना नहीं है, बस एक दो गोल बढ़वाना है, ठीक है. लिवरपूल फैंस एट द एंड ऑफ द
भाई
डे.
मैं जिंक्स पे ही हूँ. मेरे को ये चांस नहीं लेना. मेरे को चांस ही नहीं लेना. मैं जिसको गाली देता हूँ वही आके गोल मारता है. पहले बोला सैंचो घटिया है, सैंचो ने गोल मार दिया.
आप
मैंने बोला
लेकिन
हमेशा घटिया.
डोमिनिक सोलांकी की तो सपोर्टर है, वो तो गोल मार रहा था लास्ट मैच में, तो ऐसा नहीं है कि
अरे बट
मतलब हम
मेरे अगेंस्ट
छोटे
काम नहीं
होते हैं.
करता ना. मेरी टीम अगेंस्ट काम नहीं करता ना. वही तो
अच्छा,
प्रॉब्लम है.
ठीक है. आई विश टू गेट 3-2 विन एट एनफील्ड. चलो, क्या पता, देखा जाएगा. आई थिंक ऑब्वियसली एज अ लिवरपूल फैन आई रियली वांट लिवरपूल टू बैश यूनाइटेड, बट एट द एंड ऑफ द डे आई आल्सो नो फॉर वन रीजन कि United are a team which can, absolutely every turn the season around. Last season they started so poorly, and there was a time when they, won the reckoning for the title. So United can do anything. कभी भी कुछ भी हो सकता है. हालांकि यूनाइटेड फैंस तो जीत जाओ.
So on the
अच्छा, हालांकि
contrary,
यूनाइटेड.
I would love a 4-0 win.
I think any win for me at this point would do. United. I think for someone who has watched Liverpool since I was a 7-year old, I really feel up at this point was जीत जाओ वही बहुत है मेरे लिए at this point. So yeah. Anyway, thank you Daniel bhai. Thank you Parthe bhai. It was great having you. बहुत अच्छा लगता है आप लोगों को having you guys around. And for another game week, we guys will come. We guys will talk about this next week. Devin bhai will be hosting the show. And thank you everyone for joining in. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Please like, share this stream, and subscribe to the Anti Football Podcast. And finally, comment देते हैं Hoyland finally scores for United. What a strike! 5-1 to LFC. ठीक है, इसी नोट पे एंड कर दे. Thank you so much guys. Have a great week ahead. Thank you.